Hey guys, welcome to Horology Biology. In today's video, I am going to be touching on my personal super fresh Omega collection. And most importantly, I'm actually going to be touching on the price that I paid for each watch. Now that's something that you do not see often on YouTube. Usually there's a lot of secrecy, shrouded in secrecy about what people pay for their things.
Obviously the whole thing is shrouded in mystery.
But on the Horology Biology channel, I believe in being transparent, being open and sharing with the community exactly what it is that I paid for certain things, why I paid a certain price, and did I get a good deal or did I not get a good deal. So the first watch that I want to talk about is this. It is the Omega Seamaster Professional Chronometer. It has the caliber 1120 inside, reference number 2254.50. Now this model dates from 2008, so it's quite a modern watch, it's not vintage, and I purchased this as a non-runner for a decent price. It actually came with the full box and papers as well as the certification cards, and I paid 900 euros. 900 euros, pretty damn good price considering how much these go for, but of course it was not running. So the question is, what exactly was wrong with it? I actually had no idea. When I went to visit this watch, which was a local purchase, I basically tried to wind the watch, it just wound, and it didn't get any charge into it, so I originally actually thought that the mainspring was completely shot and that it probably just needed a good service. The seller was happy to sell it to me for that price. I serviced the watch, I put a new mainspring inside it, and it runs super nice. So I am super happy with it considering how much that they go for. The next watch in my collection is actually a pair of watches. It's two watches exactly the same, but they are basically two different colored dials. These are two Omega chronometer constellations. They have beautiful style TV style dial. They are from the 1970s. I have one with a silver dial and I have one with a spider dial, which is in green. Now the reason they call it a spider dial is because it heavily cracks over time. You're going to be pretty much hard to press to find one that is not cracked. This one is cracked, but it creates this beautiful webbing kind of decoration that you see in certain lights. Now inside you have the automatic caliber 1001. These movements are pretty nice to work on, but the main thing that I don't like about them is that they have super tiny screws. It's not normal how small these are. One of them dates to 1970 and the green one dates to 1971. So one is just a year younger than the other. The reference number is the 168-047. So how much did I exactly pay for these watches? Now for the silver one, I've actually had this quite a long time in my collection and I paid 300 euros for this, running but not in a good condition, which is pretty much a fair price considering how much you see these going for now. I think you could pick one up for around 550 euros, I think is an acceptable price for this model in question. Now the other one with the green dial, I bought that last year and I bought that on eBay as a non-runner and I paid £250 in auction. I had absolutely no idea what was wrong with it. The person basically just said that it was not running whatsoever. Now here's the ironical part about this. I remember when that box came, I was actually in bed at the time, chilling, because it was early and the postman came. So I got up, got the package, and I jumped back into bed because it was super cozy and super warm, and I need to get my warm on. I opened up the box and basically I gave the watch a few whines and a few shakes and the watch basically was just running. I'm not saying that it was running perfectly because obviously I did service it, but technically it was running, so I'm not entirely sure exactly why they said it wasn't running. So that also goes to show that sometimes the person that's selling the watch online or on eBay in an auction, etc., maybe they're not too familiar with how a watch works, but of course it is completely a gamble. So I just want to give a special shout out to Peter, who is the latest member of the Horology Biology channel. Super fresh and super nice and super glad, of course, to have you in the community moving forward. Guys, if you also want to join the Horology Biology channel, there is a link below where you can hit the join button. You basically get super fresh, super nice emojis. You also get priority replies to all of your questions from yours truly, whether you're stuck on a watch or you just want to know something. I will be super on that. And of course, most importantly, you are supporting this channel. You're helping it grow. You're supporting me. And if you feel what I'm doing is providing value, I would super appreciate it if you were on board as well. The next watch that I have in my Omega personal collection is the Omega Chronostop, the completely useless, pointless Chronostop watch ever, because it basically just does it for 60 seconds. I've complained about it many times, you're all used to it, so I'm not going to go on about it anymore. This chrono stop actually dates from the year 1967. It is the reference number 145-009 and it has the beautiful caliber 865 hand wind inside. Now I actually bought this watch completely not running. It was in a completely messed up state. I also purchased it locally as well. And the question of course is, how much did I exactly pay for this watch? I paid 350 euros, which I thought was a fair price for a watch in that condition that wasn't running. I couldn't get inside to it because I had no tools at the time to open it. The dial was in good condition, apart from one tiny little blemish, which is not very noticeable, but it was basically not running whatsoever. I basically serviced the watch, I put a new mainspring into it, and it works perfectly. Moving on, the next watch on my list. Now this one I really like. I really like this watch. It's so nice, it's so super fresh. This is the Omega Seamaster Bumper. I love these watches, even though they sound broken when you shake them, but they're not broken, but they really do sound broken, I'll give them that. This watch dates from 1954. It has a beautiful dial on it. It has the caliber 344 inside, and the reference number is 2766-3. Now, the question is, how much did I pay for this watch and where did I get it from? Now, I got this from a watch fair a couple of years ago and I paid 400 euros for it. Now, people might turn around to me and go, HB, you've touched on watch fairs before. People always know what they're selling there and they sell them for higher prices, etc., etc. You are absolutely right in regards to saying that, and I've said this before many times. But here's the thing, when it comes to watch fairs, there are two main times when it's really good to buy watches. The best time obviously is right at the beginning when you first get there because you're one of the first ones in, let's say, and you're seeing what's available as it stands there and then. But then the other time as well, which is also good, is potentially right at the end of the watch expo. Let me explain the situation. If it's not been a very profitable day for a seller that's selling at a watch fair, you might find that they are inclined to actually let things go for a little bit cheaper within the last 30 minutes to an hour, let's say, of the watch fair closing. And this is, of course, when I swooped in. I saw this watch while I was walking around, but I wasn't wanting to pay the 550 euros that he was basically advertising it for. He claimed that it was serviced. They all say it's serviced, don't believe that. But I didn't want to pay that much. Long story short, I paid 400 euros for this watch, which I think is a very good price for it with this basic case design, all original, super nice looking. And of course, I serviced it and it works perfectly now. So, like I said, either right at the beginning or potentially you can snap up some nice super fresh deals right at the end of a watch expo as well. Next watch on my list, this is an Omega Genève. This one is dated from 1972. It has the caliber 1481 inside with the reference number 1660-118. Now, this is another watch, of course, that I purchased as a non-runner. The watch wasn't running at all. I purchased it locally and I paid 250 euros for it. Me personally, I would have actually preferred to pay a little bit less than this because as it stands, I would value this watch at around the 350 to 400 euro mark. Of course, it's serviced. It needed a new mainspring because the mainspring is completely broken. So that was obviously the reason it wasn't working. And of course, now it works perfectly. And that is the value that I value it at, between 350 to 400 euros. Now, this is a watch that everybody should have in their collection if they collect Omegas. This is an Omega Constellation Paipan. These watches are very nice to own. I have also serviced this watch on my YouTube channel, so you can go and check that out. And I have owned it for, quite some time now. This watch dates from 1961. It is the reference number 14381-11SC. And it has the caliber 551, which is an automatic Omega movement inside. This was, again, another one of those Watch Expo ones that I was referring to earlier on in the video, where you can pick things up for a little bit cheaper towards the end of the day. I paid 700 euros for this watch. 700 euros for a chronometer Constellation Paipan is a really good price. This watch is an absolute beast. Seriously, you put it on your wrist and you feel like Wonder Woman with one of her supersonic bracelets on there. This is the Omega Chrono Quartz. This dates from 1976, my birth year watch. And it basically was used for the 1976 Montreal Olympics in Canada. It is a Seamaster with the reference number 196.0052. It has the caliber 1611 inside, which is a quartz movement, and it has the bracelet 1211/202 on it. So the question is, how much did I pay for this and did I get a good deal or not? I personally think I got an actually outstanding deal for this. I've owned this watch for quite a few years now. It's actually the second one that I owned because I had one before and then I sold it and then I absolutely regretted selling it because, like I said, it's a birth year watch. So when another one came up online and I saw it advertised locally, I of course jumped all over it. I paid 900 euros for this watch, and given that I see the prices still go for around 15, let's say, for a decent condition one, I think I got a pretty good deal. This is my Omega Speedmaster Professional Mark II. It is a keeper, it will never be sold. I will own this for the rest of my life as far as I'm concerned, because everybody should have an Omega Speedmaster Professional in their life. And the Mark II, as far as I'm concerned, is highly underrated, super affordable still, and definitely a watch that you need to own if you can get hold of one, which technically shouldn't be that hard. If you go on eBay, you'll find them. If you go on Chrono24, you'll find them. And I think it has such a nice case design. And because, like I said, it's definitely underrated, the prices affect this and you still can get them for a good price. My Speedmaster Professional Mark II has the reference number 145.014. It dates to 1972 and inside you have the infamous caliber 861. Question is, how much did I pay for this watch and did I get a good deal or not? I think I got an absolutely brilliant deal on this at the time. I've owned this watch for around, I think, 4 years now. I bought this watch running, but it had an issue with the 12-hour chronograph. Basically, it would just run even though the chronograph wasn't running. So the brake was not connected, or basically the spring had come off. That's what I thought was the problem. It turned out it was a little bit more than that and I had to spend 200 euros in parts, but I paid 1,300 euros for this watch. With the parts in question came to 200, so that's 1,500 euros. Now the last watch in my collection, as far as I'm concerned, is one of my favorite ones. I also think that it was one of my better deals that I got, but at the same time it was also a risky gamble with the price that I paid for it. This is the Omega Seamaster with the 1040 lavalier based movement inside. Super sexy watch. It has the reference number 176-007. Now, you'll actually see on the images that the case back for this is marked out. Omega did line out original case backs, which was 176-001, so mine is one of the later models. It is from the early 1970s. The rotor was changed at service because you can see that it has an R on there instead of the proper serial number, so I don't exactly know the correct year of my version. It has the caliber 1040 inside and it has the 1162 bracelet on it. So what exactly was wrong with this watch? This watch was not running whatsoever. I bought this again locally. I like to buy locally if I can because you get to see the watch in question and then you can actually make a legitimate decision whether or not it's worth you going ahead with the purchase. Plus it's always better when you get a feel for it in hand. I paid 800 euros. Now that's 800 euros that could have been a very big risk in regards to how much I would have had to have paid for parts. But in the end, I paid 300 euros for parts, so that brought me up to 1,100 euros for the entire watch in question. And considering how much they go for, I think that I got a pretty good deal. So there you have it, guys, the full breakdown of my Omega collection, the prices that I paid, and I hope you actually find it beneficial when you're on your own watch hunting journey and whether or not you should make the decision to buy something that basically will need some watchmaker attention and a service, because it's cheaper, if it's worth it or not. Okay guys, as always, until next time.